Unlike most people, I didn't grow up on any Ubisoft games. In fact, my first ever Ubisoft game was Assassin's Creed 3. I had so much fun with that game that I played it non-stop and eventually went on to buy Assassin's Creed 4, which honestly felt like Assassin's Creed 3, but on crack. I loved everything from the story that gives us the backstory on Connor's family, to the pirating and improved boat mechanics, and just the gameplay in general. Eventually, I went back and played the Ezio trilogy and a little bit of the first one. As I continued to experience the next couple Assassin's Creed games, I started to have the same thought creep in my head over and over again. This is the most lazy and money-hungry shit ever. From putting out the unplayable glitch fest that was Unity in a borderline unfinished state, to purposely setting up portions and origins that were torturous slow grinds to incentivize players to spend real-world money. After all the PTSD from the last entries combined with the fatigue of almost yearly annual releases at one point, I did not even play Valhalla. In fact, one of my friends told me I could borrow it for free and I still refused to take it. All of this combined with the disappointment of how they've been handling their other franchises like Far Cry and Watch Dogs has pushed Ubisoft further down the shitter. Now that I haven't touched an Assassin's Creed game in what feels like forever, I have an itch to play the new one. Other people may feel differently about Ubisoft and are welcome to do so, but for me it feels like Assassin's Creed Mirage is the last chance I'm willing to give this company. As I'm sure you know, based on Assassin's Creed Mirage's trailer, it's kind of being marketed as a true return to form for the series, and I absolutely love that. While I enjoyed the fighting and gameplay style of Origins and Odyssey, I felt like it didn't feel like what an Assassin's Creed game should feel like or what was true to its original roots. The concept of enemy and player levels, while adding difficulty to certain fights, sometimes didn't make any sense in terms of assassinations. Like, why can't I stealth kill a guy because he's a higher level than me? In my experience, it encouraged me to have open combat with many enemies at once, or grind all the time, constantly, in order to be able to keep being stealthy. Perhaps, instead of them not being killable in one stealth attempt, maybe make the area around those with higher levels harder to traverse, or maybe include more guards or other obstacles that make it harder to get around in that area, so the stealth would be more difficult and it wouldn't take away from what an assassin is supposed to do. I'm sure you can really tell at this point that I really missed the social stealth elements of the games in the past. Based on the recently revealed gameplay trailer, we see the protagonist moving through the dense crowds, sitting on benches, parkouring, and even the option to bribe guards to get into places to go unseen. This at least gives me the impression that stealth will have some focus in the game, if not a big part of the focus in the game. That at least tells me that our assassin will behave like an actual assassin, calculated and cunning, and not a lunatic murderer on a rampage. However, some people prefer to play as a lunatic murderer on a rampage, and while I may not like it as much as the stealth, it's still pretty fun to me, and I'd like people to be able to play a game in many different ways. The second part of this trailer comes in handy here because it showcases the upfront style of combat with what seems to be a couple of different weapons, but for the most part, it seems to be similar to what we've seen before. To be fair, we did only get really small snippets of the combat, which depending on how you look at it, can be seen as very, very scary, or just maybe they'll come up with more in a bit, right? One thing that really stuck out and that I thought was super cool was this rope takedown. I don't remember seeing this in other games, so forgive me if I'm just being stupid here, but I love to see as many environmental takedowns as possible. The ability to improvise with objects on the fly seems like a really badass thing for an assassin to do, and maybe these are takedowns that we can unlock as we get further in the game. The skill trees in the last couple of games were actually something that I enjoyed, and I think if done correctly, could provide an extra layer of interest. If done properly, we could slowly use what we have learned plus the experience gathered from killing people to unlock new ways of traversal, making higher level guards easier to kill or get rid of, or maybe we can unlock new types of takedowns with environments or weapons to even unlock new skills such as recruiting assassins or other skills that are available only to higher up assassins. Some of what was mentioned is in older games, but I think taking some things that worked in older games, like the social stealth, along with things that worked in new games, such as skill trees with some tweaks in modern editions, here and there could make the game super fun and possibly the best game in the series yet. However, since this game is somewhat being called a true return to form in a sense, I doubt many RPG aspects of the last couple games will be making a return, whether for good or bad, and that is something we will have to wait and watch for. One thing that will surely make a return though is the microtransactions. Oh my god, I hate these things. I mean, come on. Ubisoft wants you to love their games again. How else will they sell you useless imaginary shit for real world money in the game? Or absolutely game breaking items that you can buy to flex on your friends. It's one thing if certain cosmetics that don't change the game can be bought and it doesn't affect gameplay, and then they aren't aggressively pushing it. I can at least tolerate these kinds of microtransactions, as annoying as their existence is to me. But please don't include game-breaking items that are only there for a limited time to manipulate people into buying. I also don't want to see a bunch of repetitive tailing missions. A tailing mission here or there that makes sense for the story isn't too bad, since it makes sense for an assassin to be tailing people. However, there has to be a way to tail someone in an interesting way, or maybe like the annoying repetitive chase down and tackle people missions that were in the past games, but they can be done in somewhat an interesting way. I think part of what made Black Flag special for me was that there was some diversity in the form of naval battles. It wasn't all just assassinating over and over and over again. And obviously it doesn't have to be in depth to that level and to that degree of just completely being separate from the normal gameplay. But some form of variety will definitely create a replay value and an excitement value for more people to buy the product in general. Okay, so maybe I should take a step back here. I wrote this while at work, based on just seeing this specific trailer, so my thoughts may have spiraled out of control. But regardless of how you feel about the trailer and the information we have so far, I think we can agree that we want a fun and exciting game that will give us good memories for years. And as far as I'm concerned, with the amount of money I've spent on this company's subpar games, this is Ubisoft's last chance. If they catfish me with this trailer, I will only borrow these games from my friends from now on and not spend a single dime of my own money on any of their products because I'm petty. I may be pissed, damn it, but I got a channel to run. In all seriousness, thank you for listening to an idiot rant. Please consider subscribing to support the channel and let me know what you think of what we've seen so far. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Did I miss anything out? Am I stupid? Let me know in the comments below. This was my first ever trailer reaction, so if all goes well, I plan to do a lot more of these in the future. Also, if you have time, I usually live stream on weekdays around 8:30 p.m. Pacific time, and weekends whenever I wake up and pull myself together. The schedule can sometimes change based on if I'm working on a video like this, as it does take some time to put together. Also, consider these videos if you like my work, and thank you for your time. Plot Armor Games, out.